the cinemashogun here, and take a look around you. There's no denying that America is on the decline. Our once beautiful cities have now been reduced to homeless encampments. Our once thriving communities have been reduced to basically Gotham City, where crime runs rampant and it goes unchecked. Junkies run the streets. Take a look at the crisis at our southern border. Our southern border is wide open. People are pouring into this country at alarming rates. And listen, my grandfather came here from Germany shortly after World War II. So I sympathize with people who want to come to America for a better life, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And let's be honest, a lot of this isn't about finding a better life anymore. Not all of these military-aged men that keep coming across our borders. We've officially reached the point where there are schools right here in America, schools that have gone back to virtual learning, not because of a new sickness or illness. They've gone to virtual learning because our government has allowed illegal immigrants to basically be stored away inside of our public schools right here in America. Think about that. Kids out of school having to do all of their work from a computer at home, simply because the people running this country decided it was a good idea that we're going to house all of these random people from across the world inside of our schools where we send our kids. Think about how much money it costs to fly somewhere these days. Gas is outrageous. Plane tickets are outrageous. But nowadays, our airports right here in America, they're being used to house immigrants. I guess the 5-star hotels in New York weren't enough. Now they're taking over our airports. They're taking over our schools. And then when you go to town to get something to eat, to get some groceries, you have to walk through homeless encampments, needles on the ground. We are in a state of just straight up decay, urban decay. I don't know what to call it. But it's obvious that we have this problem with homelessness here, right? And a lot of the people who are on the streets, I know people sympathize with them, and I do too, but a lot of them want to be there. They want to live this life. The laws have made it to where these people have decided, hey, screw trying to, better myself. Screw trying to improve myself. Screw trying to get an apartment or a house or anything like that. I'm going to create my own community right here on the sidewalk. I'm going to create my own community right here in the streets, right here in the sewers, right here, who knows where. But when you have this problem with homelessness, you have this problem with addicts and drug use, and it's already an issue on our streets, and then you start just bringing in the masses of people from across the world, and you have nowhere to put them. What it leads to is this massive underground community. And I don't necessarily mean underground literally, but you can use it literally as well, because now some of these homeless people, some of these immigrants have literally resorted to digging underground caves, having underground communities, underground houses right beneath your feet. You're going to the park, you go to the river to fish, maybe take your kids to play. Little do you know, there may be people literally living beneath you, because now they're literally burrowing underground and creating communities underground. And listen, I know about the mole people in New York. I know there's been people living in underground tunnels and abandoned railways and subway stations and stuff like that in New York for a long time. That's not what I'm talking about here. And of course, we talked a lot about the secret tunnels that were built underneath the Jewish synagogue. We've talked about all of that stuff before. But what I'm talking about here is a tad bit different. I know you've probably seen tent cities. These areas where there's just tons of tents and homeless people. You've probably seen homeless encampments under bridges. You've seen homeless encampments right out in the open on the sidewalk in San Francisco and in portions of California. Here in the South, I've noticed that things are getting bad as well. It's not just New York. It's not just California. It's not just up north. It's not just out west. It's getting worse down south too. Sometimes I drive through certain portions of Atlanta, or I drive through certain portions of Jacksonville and various other places, and it's unrecognizable. And it's drastically changed the amount of people on the streets. It's increased drastically over the last few years. But let's get back to these caves, these tunnels, because that's why I'm here to talk today. We've all seen the homeless encampments in their various shapes and forms and sizes. But many of you may have not seen something like what I'm about to show you today. Because as I said, as you keep inviting people in this country, and we already have a problem with housing our own citizens, and you're inviting people of different cultures, different ways of life, who have different ways of doing things, and if they don't have a place to go, they're going to create their own communities, and they already have, right? But now, we have this problem in our country, in various places, where people are starting to dig underground tunnels, underground little caves, and they're living inside of them. And I mean, some of these caves are fully furnished with artwork on the wall, beds, homemade fireplaces, and stuff like that. And when they do this stuff, you know, they're creating danger in many forms, because some of these people are doing this along river embankments. The soil's a little easier to dig. But who knows what type of stuff they're doing in those caves, if they're doing some type of substances that could leak in the rivers. Who knows if this could collapse and kill the people who are living in the caves, or collapse and cause injuries, or kill people who are above ground, just trying to live their normal life, not realizing that there's homeless caves beneath them. But before I go and rant any further, some of you are probably like, homeless caves? What in the hell is this? Let's go ahead and roll this news clip so you can see what I'm talking about. Be sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to roll this news clip, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
I've covered a lot of homeless stories in the past, but I've never seen such elaborate infrastructure for encampments. It starts with these makeshift steps that lead about 20 feet down below to where these caves are hidden. You can't even see them from up above, and that's likely why they went undetected for so long. Hidden homeless caves tucked along the Tuolumne River in Modesto.
These are basically stairs that they made to get down to the dwelling.
Tracy Rojas took us on the treacherous walk to see the craters created near Crater Avenue.
And if one of these were to collapse, it would be devastating. This whole side would come down and into the water.
7,600 pounds of trash. That's how much was cleared out by volunteer groups and police over the weekend.
So this was fully furnished?
Yes. There was bedding, there was little things up on the mantle, lack of a better word, mantle, food items, drugs, guns.
We had a hard time figuring out how they got so much stuff down in there, considering how hard it was. It's always harder to get it up the hill and get it out.
Chris Guptill was one of these volunteers who says they found 8 caves in total, but it wasn't the group's first time down here.
And we really don't have a known solution to deal with it.
In November 2022, CBS 13 took a tour of the cleared out caves, nowhere near as elaborate as they are now.
You can see the hooks on the wall where they had bottles and things like that hanging down.
Painted pictures and even a makeshift fireplace. This was someone's home.
What do you think needs to be done to stop this from happening?
Well, I think we need more emphasis on the homeless. I mean, they're at the point where you can see, Tori, that they're desperate.
We asked Modesto police and the city what's being done to prevent people from coming back to cave camp. The response, they will continue to monitor the area and connect the homeless to services.
It was already been proven that people are willing to dig those things out, so I don't think filling them back in with any material would work.
The caves cleared for now, but the neighborhood near the river feeling no real sense of peace in this problem.
It's a hazard for not only the homeless who live in there, but the people who are walking up here.
Erosion, rising waters washing the belongings into the river, and contamination are all concerns. Rojas says that park rangers are planning on putting up cameras around this area and also signage, making it an official park. That way that they can have more enforcement.
So yeah, folks, this is a problem that we're starting to see arise. I mean, we've always heard the stories. We've seen the stuff about, people living in sewers and subways and stuff in big cities throughout America, but stuff like this is something that we haven't necessarily experienced at this level. And I mean, they're going into the caves and they're finding guns, drugs, they're finding all type of stuff. And one thing is that I've noticed is once this stuff starts catching on, you're going to see a trend, okay? You're going to see a trend. One person does it here. Oh, they get kicked out. They go do it another place. They hop on a train. They go to do it another place. Next thing you know, we got homeless caves all around America. For all I know, there's a homeless cave underneath me right now. Maybe there's one under you. Maybe one of you are watching this video from a homeless cave. And if that's the fact, no judgment from me. I'm just letting you know, you got to be careful down there, folks. You got to be careful in those caves, okay? I'm sure they weren't dug correctly, and you never know what may happen. But this is where we're at in America. In my lifetime, I've witnessed this country change so much, but not for the better at all. I've witnessed a steady decline, and then over the past couple of years, a rapid decline. And it's really a sad sight to see. It's a sad sight to see. I almost can't even fathom the fact that we got kids out of school because their schools have been taken over by illegal immigrants. Like, what? And you have to be careful. Like you can't go to the river and fish. You can't go hang out at the park because who knows if there's creepos living underground. It's just really wild, folks. It's really wild to think about. And something needs to be done here. Because if we don't reverse course soon, and listen, this is not a political thing at least when it comes to my opinions. I understand the politics behind this situation, but this isn't me spewing my political beliefs. This is just me being honest. And I think that everyone in this country, on both sides, I think everyone's starting to understand that. I think everyone's starting to understand that you just can't allow millions and millions of random people, Lord knows who, just pouring into our country. Other countries don't allow that. You can't just allow that and think that everything's going to work out and everything's going to just be copacetic. America has its own problems that I feel like we need to work out before we start inviting millions upon millions of other people and trying to figure out their problems. You understand what I'm saying? When it gets to the point that homeless people and immigrants are digging caves and living in freaking homemade caves in our neighborhoods, I mean, that's when you gotta like come to a full stop and try to seek some type of solution. You can't keep ignoring this problem. It's only going to get worse. And before you know it, you're going to walk in your backyard and it's going to be like you have a freaking mole problem. But it's just going to be families of people living underneath your yard, underneath your house. And I'm halfway joking, but damn, I mean, this video is kind of scary, right? But anyways, let me know what you think about all of this down in the comments below. While you're down there, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to this channel via Cash App. I'll have my Cash App in the pinned comment. You can also donate via Super Thanks or for free. You can support the channel by hitting the like button, subscribing, all of that good stuff. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.